Today in Bible videos, we're going to learn the story of how David brought the ark to Jerusalem. Are you ready to learn more about it? Let's get started. After the death of King Saul and Jonathan in battle, David was first anointed king of Judah. Then he was anointed as king of all the tribes of Israel. And David was 30 years old when he became king. For the first 7.5 years of his reign, David ruled from Hebron. David then decided to take Jebus, which is later called Jerusalem, which was held by the Jebusites, as the new capital of his kingdom. Jerusalem on Mount Zion had a fortress that was so well defended that the Jebusites boasted, saying, "You will never get in here, and even the blind and the lame can ward you off." Nevertheless, David captured the fortress of Zion and made Jerusalem the city of David. And he started developing the land around the fortress, and the Lord was with him in all he did. Hiram, the king of Tyre, sent envoys to David along with cedar logs and carpenters and stonemasons, and they built a palace for David. And David knew that God had established his kingdom, and he wanted to make Jerusalem a place of worship too. The Ark of the Covenant had been at the house of Abinadab at Kiriath-Jearim for the last 92 years. And David wanted to bring it to Jerusalem and put it in a new tabernacle he had erected. So the whole of Israel assembled at Kiriath-Jearim, and the Ark of God was put on a new cart with Uzzah and Ahio guiding it. They did not think it was important to obey God's instructions that the ark was only to be moved by the Levites. And David and all the Israelites were celebrating with all their might before God with songs and with harps, tambourines, cymbals, and trumpets. When they came to the threshing floor of Kidon, Uzzah reached out his hands to steady the ark because the oxen stumbled. The Lord's anger burned against Uzzah, and he struck him down because he had put his hand on the ark, and he died on the spot. Seeing that, David was very afraid and asked, "How can I ever bring the ark of God to me?" So the ark was taken to the house of Obed-Edom the Gittite, where it stayed for the next 3 months. While the ark was at his house, the Lord blessed Obed-Edom and his family. So David decided to bring the ark to Jerusalem, but he wanted to do it the way God had instructed Moses about how it should be moved. And David announced the people, saying, "No one, but only the Levites may carry the ark of the living God." And the Lord chose them to carry the ark and minister before him. And when the Levites had carried the ark for 6 steps, David made sacrifices to God. And David asked the Levites to choose musicians to make a joyful sound with harps and cymbals. The musicians were led by Heman, Ashbath, and Ethan. The Levites were clothed in fine white linen, as was David. Kenina was in charge of the choir who led the singing. And the people of Israel brought the ark to Jerusalem with shouts of joy and the sound of ram's horns, trumpets, cymbals, lyres, and harps. And as the ark of the covenant was entering Jerusalem, David's wife Michal, daughter of Saul, watched it from a window. And when she saw King David dancing and celebrating, she despised him in her heart. And they brought the ark and set it inside the tent that David had pitched for it. And David sacrificed burnt offerings and fellowship offerings and blessed everyone in the name of the Lord. And he gave a loaf of bread, a cake of dates, and a cake of raisins to each person in the crowd. Then everyone returned back home. And when David went home, his wife Michal said, "Is it right for the king of Israel to behave as any vulgar person would, in full view of the slave girls and servants?" And David replied, saying, "I was before the Lord who chose me to rule Israel, and I will celebrate before him." The end. And I hope you had fun learning the story of how David brought the ark to Jerusalem. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe for more Bible videos. Bye.